Welcome everybody to our Tim at 10. Today is Tuesday, March 1st, 2022. And I am so looking forward to our webinar today on attachment. So this is an incredible bit of information, and I am excited that you are all here. So welcome. We'll give everyone just a second to hop on. Hope you're all having a wonderful morning and you survived all the cold weather and ice and all that fun stuff last week here in North Texas, at least for some of us. Awesome, blessing. All right. Again, today is our Tim at 10. We're going to talk about understanding attachment and attachment styles in early education classrooms and how our teachers can better support the children that we are serving, and as administrators, how we can also better support our teachers, better support our parents, the community. Y'all, this is a big topic, and I hope everyone understands what a huge topic this is this morning. And especially right now, coming out of the pandemic, hopefully coming out of the pandemic, and our world is starting to look a little bit more optimistic when it comes to dealing with the virus and operating our schools. I really wanted to do this workshop on attachment styles because over the last 2 years, the kids that we've been working with, and not only the children, but the adults that we have been working with, the attachment and the connection and the attunement has really been smeared and challenged, in our everyday life, not just in the classroom, but in our everyday life. From the wearing of the mask, from the social distancing and the physical distancing that we've been practicing, and just the overall distraction of the world that we have lived in over the last 2 years. When we're in the classroom, the fear of getting sick, the constant sanitizing and disinfecting, just all of that right there has had a really big impact on the way that we interact and engage with one another. And this is something that, I've been talking about a whole lot here lately, especially those that have attended my weekend mini conference, or you're planning to attend my weekend mini conference coming up in Houston or Dallas. We're going to talk a lot about recovering from the social and emotional skills that have been lost or neglected over the last 2 years. And we've got a lot of work to do, y'all. A whole lot of work to influence that social and emotional development, and repair what has been lost over the last 2 years. And that's why this workshop today on attachment and attachment styles is so imperative. So I hope that you're ready to listen. I hope that you're ready to learn. And I really hope you're ready to share this information, with the people that you work with and create a strong and healthy social and emotional environment for the children and the adults that you serve. Most of you have done this before, so if this is your very first Tim at 10, the way this works is I am live right now. You are live right now. So you get the opportunity to interact with me. You can comment in the comment screen. You can ask questions, and that makes it interactive. So this is considered an instructor-led training with childcare licensing if you are participating live today on March 1st, 2022. Now, if you're watching the recorded video, then that is self-instructional. But if you are with me right now on March 1st, this is a live instructor-led event. At the end of the workshop today, I will post a link for a worksheet so you can complete the worksheet, answer questions, and then I will provide you with a certificate of completion. If you're needing a certificate of completion, there is a $5 fee for that. If you just want to watch and listen and learn today and you don't care about a certificate, it's free. It's free. It doesn't cost you anything. So yeah. Hello everyone. Great. All right, so that's kind of how that works. And so, and I'll try to tell you when we come up on a worksheet question so that you can jot down some notes and you can be able to answer those questions. If you come in late or you miss any part of this video, if you get distracted and hijacked and you have to step away from your computer, no worries. These are always recorded. You can always go back and watch them on Facebook, and we post them on our website as well. And I hope that you really love the information and you decide to share it with other people in your school or in your community. All right. Now, I want to throw a big disclaimer out there about the material that we're going to talk about today. I want to make sure that we're focused on the children that are in our classrooms. And I really want y'all to be reflecting on the children that you're working with, children that you've had in the past, and go at it from that mindset. I say that because the topic that we're going to talk about today, it is very easy for you to take this personal and for you to start reflecting on your own personal life, your own personal childhood, how that attachment had an influence on you. And it's very, very easy to go down that rabbit hole with this conversation. So we want to make sure that we are conscious enough to be aware that when we start drifting off into our own childhood, that we're willing enough to bring it back and focus on how we can support the children in our classrooms. All right. So let's do that and make that commitment, as we move forward right here. All right, so there's several experts that I'm going to be quoting today. So I pulled a lot of information from a lot of different resources for our little presentation today. The attachment style theory was originally founded by John Bowlby back in the 1950s. So a lot of what we're going to be talking about today is based on Bowlby's research. And then it was expanded by Mary Ainsworth. And so a lot of this attachment theory comes from these two individuals. And of course, I'm going to throw in the amazing and wonderful Dr. Becky Bailey and her approach to attachment styles, in addition to Bowlby and Ainsworth. All right. But a lot of this stuff you may have heard before, just maybe not in a post-pandemic perspective. But for some of you, this might be new information for you. All right. Now, the first thing I want y'all to understand is that, you've got this attachment system and you have an attachment figure. And when the world is not going your way, when you don't feel safe, when you don't feel secure, you look for your attachment figure. You look for a healthy attachment figure. And that is a person that gives you unconditional love, that makes you feel safe, that nurtures you, and you build this healthy attachment style, all right? Because that person is there for you. When the attachment system is on, and when you're seeking out your attachment figure, no learning can take place at that point. All right. You are unable to meet expectations when the attachment system is on. That's important, y'all. That's important for everyone to understand. No learning can take place when a child is seeking their attachment figure. All right. So we have what's called exploration. And when we're exploring, we're learning. When we're exploring, we're curious, we're problem solving, all right? And that's what we want. We want the exploration system to be on when the children are in the classroom. The only way a child can be in their exploration phase is when they feel safe and when they have a healthy attachment figure available to them, all right? So when they're seeking out their attachment figure, no learning can take place. When they know that there's an attachment figure there and they're not seeking them, then they can learn and explore, all right? And we've got to be able to identify the difference right there. So when you walk into a classroom, especially those of you that are directors and administrators, when you walk into a classroom and you see a child that may be in a little bit of distress, maybe withdrawn, may be detached. You know, you have to kind of ask yourself, is their attachment system on or is their exploration system on? All right. And you can't teach him anything when the attachment system is on. All right. So I wanted to start off with that because we'll kind of follow up on that quite a bit as we kind of go through this right here. All right. And the other thing that I really want y'all to understand is that the way we engage the children now, okay, whether you're talking about toddlers, 2-year-olds, 4-year-olds, the way we engage children now and the attachment that we build with them has a huge impact on how they build relationships later in life. So when they become an adult and they enter a romantic relationship, when they become an adult and they get into those pro-social situations, they're forming friendships, they're forming connections, not only in a social setting, but in a professional setting, when they go to work, when they become members of the working class, you know, that attachment style that they had as a child influences their ability to form relationships later in their life, all right? And that's why I gave the disclaimer at the beginning. We got to focus on the kids that are in the classroom, not your personal situation, because it's very easy to go down that rabbit hole, you know, as we, you know, kind of start talking about this. All right. So basically, like I said earlier, the attachment style theory was originally founded by John Bowlby in the 1950s. It was expanded by Mary Ainsworth. Attachment theory outlines how you bond with your primary caregiver, and that sets the foundation for how you navigate relationships for the rest of your life. All right, so this is important stuff. That's why, again, when we look at the last 2 years and the attachment styles and the connection or the disconnect that we've had over the last 2 years, this is going to have a lifelong impact on some of these kids, but we still have a chance to influence this in a positive way. All right, we can still turn this around. So basically what the attachment style theory focused on was that infants and toddlers are constantly monitoring their parents and their caregivers to see what strategies would allow them to stay close. All right. Just making sure that the child knows that that caregiver is available to them. So not necessarily present with them, meeting their needs, but they will eventually be there. All right. That they will eventually be there for them. So based on this theory right here, there's 4 different types of attachment styles. And we'll talk about these all in the webinar today. Y'all might want to write these down because this is one of the worksheet questions. The first attachment style is a secure attachment style. Then we have an avoidant attachment style. That could also be known as a dismissive or an anxious avoidant attachment style for young children. Then you have an anxious attachment style. This could also be called preoccupied with some children right there. And then the last one is a disorganized attachment style. All right, and this is a very fearful attachment style with young children. And again, we're going to talk about all of these as we go through this material. Avoidant, anxious, and disorganized are all considered insecure attachment styles. So we want to be aware of those because these are the kids that we need to work with, and we need to influence and develop a secure attachment style with these kids. All right. If a child can consistently rely on their parent or their caregiver to fulfill their needs growing up, they're likely to develop a secure attachment style. They'll see relationships as a safe place where they can express their emotions freely. And that's what we want. We want the children to be able to express their emotions freely. It's okay to have an emotion. And again, not to go down the rabbit hole of of your personal experiences, y'all. It's going to happen. I told y'all, this is a disclaimer. Be careful. It's going to happen. But even kind of looking at that, at our upbringing, and my upbringing myself, I grew up in a household where it wasn't okay to express your emotions. That was something that you kept to yourself. And then later in life, we see the impact of that. So it kind of makes sense. That's why it makes so much sense to me, and I connect with this so well. And I'm sure a lot of you are the same way. All right. On the other hand, if you have an insecure attachment style develops in a child, this is a child that has a strained bond with their caregivers. This happens when the child learns that they may not be able to rely on others to fulfill their needs and comfort. Let's talk about that one again, okay? A insecure attachment style happens when a child learns that they may not be able to rely on others to fulfill their basic needs or comfort. And y'all, this is where it gets scary. And this is where we need to really focus on this in our early education world. When we're in the classroom with those children, we have to make sure that they know that we're there for them. All right? We got to make sure that they know that their basic needs are going to be met, and that we're going to be there to comfort them and to nurture them. If they don't get that sense, then it can have a really lifelong impact on them. And I'll go ahead and throw this out there at the beginning of this webinar. And this is another reason why I wanted to do this webinar so badly. We're in a staffing crisis right now, where many of us, we're struggling for staff, and we are having a very difficult time finding people that are dedicated to the children and that will stay in the classrooms and be consistent in the classroom. Children cannot rely on a caregiver if they don't feel comfortable or they don't know that the caregiver is going to be there from one day to the next. So if you have inconsistent caregiving in the classroom, you have a different teacher in that classroom every other day, the child will not be able to predict that their basic needs will be met. And this is going to create an insecure attachment style. We have to have consistency in the classroom. So when we're hiring people, and classroom teachers that are watching this, when you accept an assignment, we've got to be dedicated to the children, because they have got to have consistency. And it's not just staying committed to your job, but it's also about being there. You got to be there to be consistent for the children, and not just being physically present, but mentally present and focused on meeting the children's basic needs. All right? You've got to be engaged. You've got to be engaged. Someone just sent me a message a few days ago about having some struggles in their toddler classroom, and they were looking for some advice. And it was a really good question. It was a very common question about, struggles in a toddler classroom. And my answer was a very simple one-word answer: engagement. All right? You just got to be connected with those kids and let them know that their basic needs will be met. All right? And once they feel that sense of comfort, once they feel secure, they know you're going to be there for them, y'all, the rest is easy. The rest is easy. All right? So I want you to ask yourself, whether you're a classroom teacher, whether you're an administrator, whatever role that you play in your organization, can the children rely on you? Can the children rely on you? That's a big question, all right? And you need to figure out the answer to that. I can't answer that question for you. You've got to figure that out in your own world. So, when we talk about attachment styles and how that relates to adult relationships, we unconsciously expect our relationships to act as our parents did. And therefore, we act in certain ways due to these expectations. These tendencies play out whether or not we realize it. So that's another thing I really want y'all to understand here is that a lot of this attachment style and how we form relationships is unconscious. You're not consciously aware of your attachment style and what that has to do with your ability to form relationships. But as an adult, whether you're 30, 40, 50 years old, unconsciously you're going to go back to that childhood and how those attachments were, back then. And so keep in mind, again, this is all unconscious. It's all unconscious. So again, this is why we've got to have a good influence on it now. Okay, let's talk about a secure attachment style. So this is what we want. This is what we're striving for right here. Secure attachment is defined by an ability to build healthy, long-lasting relationships. And that's what we want. Healthy, long-lasting relationships with the children, with our school family, with our teachers, with our co-workers, with the parents of the children, our customers. We want that healthy, long-lasting relationship. Now, I found this to be very interesting too, because one thing that we've talked about for many years now, I'd say many years, 5 years now, even before the pandemic, this was a conversation. People have an inability to have a long-lasting relationship these days. Relationships are very short. Whether it's a working relationship, people do not stay at their jobs very long, or even in a personal relationship, people don't stay in a personal relationship too long. We're very, very quick to drop and run. All right. So what has happened over the years that we have an inability to build a healthy, long-lasting relationship? Well, somewhere along the way, in the 80s or 90s or early 2000, the secure attachment style theory got lost, and children were not feeling, that secure, healthy, their caregiver being there for them. There was a lot of inconsistency with the caregiving, and they just didn't feel like someone was there for them. And so you got a lot of adults now that grew up with an insecure attachment style, hence the reason why people can't make a long, healthy relationship. So hopefully y'all kind of see that. So for the children that we've got right now, this is a great opportunity for us to move forward and have some good positive influence on them. So a secure attachment is the result of feeling secure when your caregivers from childhood are there to reassure you and to validate you. All right. So they're there for you, and that's what we want. So ultimately, you felt safe, you felt understood, you were comforted, you were valued during your early interactions. So, administrators again that are on this, when you're building that job description, when you're doing annual performance review, when you're doing classroom observations, do the children feel safe? Are the children understood? Are they comforted? Are they valued? Because that is the key to a secure attachment style right there. And it starts in the infant room and it goes up. So in these situations, the caregivers are emotionally available and they are aware of their own emotions and behaviors. Now, we talk about this in so many of our trainings that, so much of what we do in early education is an adult first, child second model. It's an adult first, child second model. So are we, the adults, emotionally available, and are we aware of our own emotions and our own behaviors? Because we can't influence the children until we first are available and aware. When we are available and aware, then we can have a very healthy impact on the kids. All right? So, some signs of some secure attachment style. So, this is what we want to look for in the classroom. The ability for children to be able to regulate their emotions. All right. So, when you have a child that is able to push through those difficult emotions, that's a good sign, y'all. Children that easily trust others. So, they have that ability to trust. Okay. Children that don't have a secure attachment style, that has an insecure attachment style, they have a very difficult time trusting adults because, let's face it, adults have let them down over and over and over again, so that trust is not there. So we're looking for children that can easily trust others. Effective communication skills, the ability to seek emotional support. So when they are having a difficult time pushing through a difficult emotion, they're able to ask for support or seek out support. They're comfortable being alone. Supervised, remember, still supervised, but comfortable being alone right there. Comfortable in close relationships. The ability to self-reflect when it comes to pro-social behavior. The ability to connect with others, the ability to manage conflict well, a high self-esteem so they believe in themselves, and the ability to be emotionally available. That's what we're looking for right here. So secure attachment people grow up feeling secure emotionally and physically and can engage the world with others in a healthy way. As a result, people with secure attachment styles tend to navigate relationships well. They're generally very positive, trusting, and loving people, especially in relationships. So that's what we're going for right there. Now, a couple of things that when you're evaluating the children and you want to try to determine where they at with their attachment styles, there's kind of 4 things that we want to look at right here. We want to look at how well do they separate from their parents or caregivers, how well do they reunite with their parents or caregivers, and then looking at the adult characteristics and then the child tendencies. So with a secure attachment style, when it comes to separating from the parent, they do this in a distressed way, they quickly recover, and they're off to play and explore. So when you have that child and the parent drops them off and they're like, see ya, and they go on and they do their thing, that's a good sign, all right? And even if they are a little sad that mom is leaving for the day, they quickly get over it. So, 5 minutes, they're on to something else. The reuniting. All right, so the reuniting with the parent is a big indicator right here too. So there's a lot of great joy in the reuniting. They initiate contact. They respond in a positive way when they're being held. And then sometimes they'll even run up to mom, be super excited. Mommy, you're here. Give them a big hug and then turn around and go back to playing. And you're like, no, it's time to go. All right, but that's a good sign, and pay close attention to that reuniting. All right, the adult characteristics. The adult is emotionally available to them. They have good positive perspective. They're responsive. All right, and we want that. Now, when mom's coming in and mom is doing this, and they're, hey, come on, get your backpack, let's go. And they're more focused on this device than reuniting with their child, y'all, that's a problem. All right. So, those of you that have a policy that say cell phones have to stay in the car, even for your parents, your customers, that parents don't come in with a cell phone. Y'all, that's a wonderful policy because we want the adult characteristics of reuniting to be very positive. All right. Now, the child tendencies, they engage well with others in the environment. They love to learn new skills. They're very cooperative. And that's what we want to look for right here. All right. Let's talk about the avoidant attachment style. Okay. And the avoidant or dismissive avoidant or anxious avoidant styles, these are all different words to describe an insecure attachment style or an avoidant attachment style. It's defined by failures to build long-term relationships with others due to an inability to engage in physical and emotional intimacy. All right. And in childhood, if this is some of you that are watching this, you may have had a very strict parents or very emotionally distant parents. And that's going to create an avoidant attachment style. So strict parents, very emotionally distant parents, or absent parents or absent caregivers. All right. And this is the one, again, that I really want us to focus on in our early education setting, because if we have absent caregivers or inconsistent caregivers, that child never knows from one day to the next who's going to be caring for them. This could really create an influence, an avoidant attachment style. All right. So when you do have a very strict caregiver, a very emotionally distant caregiver, or an absent or inconsistent caregiver, then the child eventually starts to learn that they have to fend for themselves, that they're expected to be independent. They're reprimanded if they are asking for you to be there, if they're trying to depend on you, and then they're reprimanded for that, or if they are rejected when expressing your needs or your emotions. And again, y'all, I really want y'all to reflect on some of the interactions that you see in the classroom, whether it's your own interactions or interactions that you have observed of others. When you have a caregiver, when you have a teacher that expects the children to be independent all the time, no matter what their age is, when they reprimand children for needing their assistance, all right, or if you have that child that is a little clingy, and they need that caregiver to comfort them, and then the child is reprimanded for that, all right? Or if when the child is in a moment of upset and their attachment system is on and they're seeking out their attachment figure and they're rejected, and the child is told, leave me alone, or go away, or I'm too busy for you right now, all right? And the caregiver is rejecting those needs, this is going to influence an avoidant attachment style. All right. And we need to be aware of this. This is unfortunately something that happens in our early education classrooms a lot. All right. And I don't, and this is Tim's opinion right here, I don't think when it comes to children being expected to be independent, or children being reprimanded for seeking attention, or children being rejected by their caregivers, I think that in most cases, this is not intentional. I believe it's a lack of training. All right. It's a lack of training on that caregiver, on that teacher's part. They're probably interacting and engaging with the children in the classroom the way they were raised at home. All right. So I'm going to call this an opportunity for more training. all right, for them to understand the importance of being responsive and present for the children that they are serving. It could also be when the teacher or the caregiver is slow to respond to basic needs. All right. Now, again, this one again is where it's hard for us in early education because if you are in a situation where you are by yourself in an infant room with 4 infants, or you're by yourself in an older toddler classroom, 1 adult for 9 children, y'all, you're going to be slow to respond to their basic needs. All right, you're not an octopus. You don't have all of these arms and legs to take care of all of these kids at one time. So this is very, very common to have this attachment style in our settings. We need to be aware of that because we've got to work on this. All right. And we got a lot of work to do right here. All right. So again, as a result of this attachment style, these children may learn to adopt a strong sense of independence so that they don't have to rely on anyone else to care for them or for support. All right. And that's what we see with a lot of these adults. You may have an anxious avoidant attachment style if the child is persistently avoiding emotional or physical intimacy, if they have a strong sense of independence, if they're uncomfortable expressing their feelings, if they are dismissive of others, if they have a hard time trusting people, they feel threatened by anyone who tries to get close to them, they spend more time alone than interacting with others, or you believe that you don't need others in life. All right. So whether I described an adult that you know or I described a child that you know, this could be an avoidant attachment style. So we've got some work to do with these individuals right here. Okay. Last thing on avoidant attachment style. Again, talking about separation, reuniting, adult characteristics and child tendencies. With the separation, if a parent is dropping off that child and there's very little distress, or they act as if they were never left, so like the parent dropping them off for the day means nothing to that child, that's a big indicator right there. When the parent comes back, when the parent is picking up that child and they're reunited, if the child avoids the parent, ignores the parent's return, or just very little interest in seeking out their presence, that could be an avoidant attachment style. For the adult, if they're emotionally unavailable, if they're rejecting, unresponsive, these are some signs right here. And for a childlike tendency, controlling, if they're disliked by their peers, this is a very bully scenario. So this is where you kind of see the bully being formed right here. Children that have very limited eye contact, limited touch, limited playfulness, and limited presence, you could have an avoidant attachment style right there. All right, the anxious attachment style, I have to look at the time here. The anxious, also known as anxious preoccupied, is another one. This right here where there's a fear of rejection, there's a fear of abandonment, they're depending on a partner for validation and emotional regulation. So there's a lot of codependency trends right here. This could be an anxious attachment style. This attachment style stems from inconsistent parenting, inconsistent caregiving that isn't attuned to the child's needs. All right. So that inconsistent person who isn't attuned to the child's needs, is what we want to look for right here. With some of the signs with anxious attachment style, the clingy tendencies, the high sensitive to criticism, So when you do try to give feedback or you do try to coach this child, they have a very difficult time with that. The child or the adult that needs constant approval from others. So they need a lot of affirmation, jealousy tendencies, difficult time being alone or working alone. They have a very low self-esteem. They have a feeling of unworthiness, a feeling of unworthy of love, intense fear of rejection, significant fear of abandonment, and a very difficult time trusting others. There's a lot going on right here. So with this one, what I really wanted to focus on with this attachment style is what can we do in our early education classrooms to prevent this anxious attachment style that includes, you know, the high sensitivity to criticism, the need for approval, the jealousy tendencies, the difficult time being alone, the low self-esteem, the fear of abandonment. We need to really focus on how we can influence a secure attachment setting for these kids. And I say this because, once again, with the pandemic and with the world that we have lived in for the last 2 years, I think that moving forward, we're going to see a lot of this anxious attachment style with young children and with adults, all right? Because, once again, the adult may have been physically present for them, but they were very distracted and not emotionally present for the child. And that's where I think the anxious attachment style, we're going to see it. All right. So the best thing to be able to do to prevent this attachment style is to simply be there for the child. Make sure they know that you're there for them. So when you do have a child that's having a difficult time, hey, you're safe. I'm here for you. I'm here to keep you safe. All right? Just constantly letting that child know that you're here for them. Now, you can't be a liar, liar, pants on fire. If you say, I'm here for you, then you got to be there for them. Okay? And that means there's got to be consistent caregiving. You've got to have the same person, the same adult caring for that child from one day to the next. You cannot have inconsistent caregiving for these types of kids. And y'all, moving forward, as we move forward past this pandemic, consistency is got to be the key. It's got to be the key. All right? So lots of commitment, lots of dedication to the kids. All right? But that is how we can avoid this attachment style and help the children have a secure attachment style. We've got to be there for them. All right? So that's what we've got to do. Okay? With the separation, when the child is separated from the parent and this type of attachment style, they're extremely distressed. They're hard to soothe. They do not want to go back and play. This is the kid that takes about 20 minutes to get them transitioned into the classroom. It's a very, very disruptive time of your day. You know, with the reuniting with the parent, they may cling to the parent for 1 minute, but then suddenly become very angry and resistant the next. All right. So it's like, am I happy to see you or am I not happy to see you? I'm not quite sure. And I bet if y'all are thinking about this right now, you probably are like, you know what? I've seen kids do that, where they run to the parent with excitement and then they start pushing them away and they get angry and then they cling again and then they push away. This is a very clear indicator of an anxious attachment style. All right. The adult characteristics here, again, inconsistently available. They're preoccupied with themselves. preoccupied with themselves. They tend to intrude into the child's life with no regards to the child. These are all signs right there. And once again, this is why this one right here really scares me, because I mean, how many adults, both caregivers and parents, do we know that are preoccupied with themselves and not with the child? All right, and this is going to influence an anxious attachment style. Okay, and then like I said, the childlike tendencies here is their attention seeking. Sometimes they're the class clown. Because being the class clown gets them that attention. They want the perfect answers. They're going to make a lot of noise. Even sometimes the victim mentality, where they like being the victim because that gets them attention right there. And it could also be, of course, the opposite, being the aggressor, because being the aggressor also gets them attention. Some attention is better than no attention, right? There you go. And then the last thing that I wanted to talk about in this webinar, 1 hour was not enough time for this topic. I feel like I'm rushing, but hopefully we're getting it all in there. Last one is the disorganized attachment style. So the anxious disorganized attachment is defined as having extremely inconsistent behavior and difficult time trusting others. The most common cause of a disorganized attachment style is childhood trauma. These are situations where the adult that was supposed to be the caregiver, the adult that was supposed to be the healthy attachment figure, has actually harmed the child. All right, so there's been abuse, there's been neglect, there could be sexual abuse. And you're the person that was supposed to be there for me, but you're the person that hurt me. All right, that creates the disorganized attachment style. With this, it creates a fear of the adult, a sense of safety. A fear is a sense of safety right there. Fear of their parents, so there's no sense of safety. That's what I'm trying to say right there. That's also present in that type of situation. For these children, these are very confused kids right there. With these, some signs of disorganized attachment, the fear of rejection, the inability to regulate their emotions, the contradictory behavior, high levels of anxiety, difficult time trusting others, and they have signs of both avoidant and anxious attachment styles. All right, so that's where we talk about they contradict themselves quite often. If we don't recognize the disorganized attachment style and work with these kids, then as they grow up to be adults, this could create mood disorders, personality disorders, adults that harm themselves, and then substance abuse. So this is actually one of your worksheet questions right here with a disorganized attachment style. If we do not work with these kids as an adult, what are some mental health conditions that could happen? Mood disorders, personality disorders, self-harm, and substance abuse. All right. So we want to make sure that, again, we focus on the secure attachment style and really focus, on that with these guys, with these kids. So before I let y'all go, before we close this out, I want to go back. I got a lot of notes right here. All right. Let's go back to that secure attachment style and, what we're looking for with secure attachment style and how we can support these kids. the ability to regulate your emotions. So working with the children to be able to name their emotions, to be able to recognize their emotions. I am sad, I am happy, I am calm, I am frustrated, whichever one it is. That's important right there. That's going to help them with that secure attachment style. We want them to be able to trust adults. Now, to be able to trust adults, we have to be there for them. We have to keep our word, all right? We have to make sure that they know that their needs are going to be met. It may not be met right now, but eventually your needs will be met, and that's going to help create trust. Effective communication skills. So we're going to work on assertiveness with these kids. Say what you mean what you say. All right, and say exactly what you want. Let the kids. We're going to line up at the door now. We're going to push in our chair. All right. So clear communication with the kids, and we want to coach them to have effective communication skills with us and with each other. The ability to seek emotional support. So whenever the world isn't going your way, it's okay for you to ask for support, and we want the kids to know that. And once again, we're going to be there for them. All right. We want them to feel comfortable working alone. They're still going to be supervised, but comfortable working alone, comfortable in relationships. So we're going to work on those pro-social skills with the kids, the ability to form relationships with others, the ability to self-reflect, realizing that mistakes are opportunities to learn, and it's okay to make mistakes. And when you do make a mistake, I'm still going to love you. When you do make a mistake, I'm still going to be there for you. All right? But that's going to help with the ability to self-reflect. Okay? We want them to be easy to connect with, high self-esteem. So we want them to believe in themselves. Now we've got to believe in them before they can believe in themselves. So always keep that in mind right there. And to be emotionally available. And that's how we can create that secure attachment style. All right. So awesome. Hopefully this was helpful to y'all. Like I said, this was a lot of information in a very short amount of time. We'll talk about this more in my weekend mini conference that we've got going on right now. We just had a session in San Antonio a couple of weeks ago. I will be in Dallas next, later on in March, and then we will be in Houston next month. You can find that information on my website. Also, if you just want to go to the internet and look up just the attachment style theory by John Bowlby, and it's Bowlby. You can look up his work, or Mary Ainsworth, Ainsworth. You can find more information about attachment style theory that you can pass along to the people in your program. All right, awesome. The link to complete your worksheets should be on Facebook now. I will also post these in the chat screen as soon as we are done. And so you can just refresh your browser. You should be able to see those worksheet links. If you're needing that certificate of completion. All right. I will be in Houston next week, my very first director credential course on the road in 2 years. I am so excited to be back on the road, and so we will be in the Woodlands next week, either in person or virtually, whatever you feel comfortable with, but we will be doing that in the Woodlands. All right. And so check out my website, timthetrainer.com, for everything else coming up. I'm working on fall schedule right now. Hopefully I'll have that posted in the next couple of weeks. And same thing with Tim at 10. My schedule is posted on the website. Check it out. Yes, Stacy, that was a lot of information. Remember, you can always go back and watch this later on if you need to. All right. Everyone have a wonderful rest of your day. Happy March 1st. The year is just pushing right along. All right. Y'all be good out there. Make safe choices. I'll see everyone soon. Bye.